Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, the 21st of July. I trust you had a wonderful weekend. We look forward to the week which lies ahead of us. I am aware, as I look at the exponential growth in the COVID-19 infection figures, that they are growing exponentially. And very often, that is because we have been a little naughty and we've flouted the rules that the government has given us. Those rules are there for a purpose, and if we break them and flout them, then the consequence is that we may well become infected. And I'm not blaming everyone who is infected for having broken the rules, but generally that's going to be the case. And it brings me to the readings that we have been following in morning prayer from the book of Joshua. And I pick up the story from Joshua 6, where they attack the city of Jericho. And in chapter 7, it is destroyed. And one of God's commandments to the Israelite soldiers was, do not take anything from the city. Do not take plunder for yourself. Ordinarily, plunder was permitted. But in this one instance, God said, do not, under any circumstances, take plunder. And one person flouted those rules. As a consequence, God was well aware of what had happened. As a consequence, Israel was punished. And you see that when the very next city they plan to attack is a city called Ai, and they go to attack, and they are routed. The Israelite army is routed, and a significant number are killed. And Joshua is bereft because God was with him so powerfully, and all of a sudden, God is no longer with him. And so Joshua inquires of the Lord, and the Lord tells him pretty much what has happened. And then they go through a whole process. I encourage you to read Joshua 7 and 8. They go through a process and they find the man who stole the plunder, robes and gold and silver shekels. And that man is then put to death. It's pretty gross. Read it, but it's not bedtime reading or telling of children. But you see, here's what I get out of this. Not why does God do this, but this is the consequence when we flout the law of God. The rules God gives us are there for a purpose. And if God, in his wisdom, and we trust that he is reliable and faithful and fair all the time, if he chooses that there is punishment as a result of breaking that law, then that is the punishment that we must bear. It's not God's fault, it's our fault. And my question to myself and to you as well is, to what extent are you obeying God? Or to what extent, rather scarily, do you flout the rules and regulations of God? And is it any wonder that sometimes life is so tough and difficult? It's because we're not obeying God. And there are consequences of that. The consequences to us may not be the kind of consequences that one poor man, Achan, I think his name was, who stole. May not be the same as that, but there will be consequences. Dear friends, don't break the rules of God. They are there for a purpose. Trust God and obey him. And God is then wonderfully on our side, and things will go exceedingly well. So, a scary message for the beginning of this week, but one that struck me and sat in my heart heavily. Obey God. His rules are there for a purpose. Folks, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.